We are live. Hello, everybody. Thank you for watching us and being here with us. This is very personal. And I been wanting to talk about this a long time. I felt alone for a long time until I saw Rachel's posts about it. And I messaged her like, oh my God, I do the same thing.
I remember your messages.
Remember? And
Yes.
she's like, do you do this too? And I'm like, yes. And I do this and I do that and I do this. And she's like, yep. Check.
Yep.
All of it. And I told my friends and I told my husband, I found someone like me. Because people say, and I'm sure this happens to you all the time, oh, I do the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's normal.
Or like everybody has a little bit of ADHD.
Yeah. And
that's
you're like
common. I hear that all the time.
And you're like, how often do you do this?
Right.
I do it like every couple of times a week sometimes, or more, or depending on whatever.
Like how significantly does it affect your life? So I think that's like the key factor there with figuring out, is it like actually an issue, or is it just being like human and forgetting things or whatever?
Or because you're stressed and thinking about 20 things at a time, which is that's normal,
Well, apparently that's not always normal. Like I've talked to people who are completely neurotypical, like never had like a panic attack before, are completely capable of handling things every single day. Like they say, okay, this is what I have to get done today, and this is what I'm doing, and then they get it done. And I'm like, how does that happen? I don't understand. And I've talked to them, and like they don't even understand how my life is your life, people like us, because they can say, this is what I have to do, and they just get it done.
Yeah. That's my sister. She's very kind of like OCD-ish, and she's very, very organized. And sometimes she's like, oh, I wish I was more like you. And I'm like, I wish I was more like you and have my shit together. Because it's hard. So let's go to the beginning.
Okay.
How did you grow up? Because I know you traveled. I know you told me once that you lived in Bolivia, and I just learned you lived in Russia as well.
I did, yeah. So I grew up in a very conservative Christian family. Not to knock conservative Christianity at all, because I do know people that are really kind, loving people that way still. But it was very much which I've talked some on my feed about, growing up like an empath daughter of a narcissist mother. And it's really rough to say that out loud, because it's like actually admitting it to the world. But that was my reality, and it was very much I had a very kind of nomadic childhood growing up. By the time I got married when I was age 20, and by the time I got married, we had moved 32 times.
Oh my God.
Sometimes
you with your family, or you with your husband?
No. That was by my wedding day when I was 20.
Okay.
I had moved 32 times with my family. The majority of those times were between ages like 8 to 15, 16.
Was your dad in the military, or
so he was briefly in the reserves. Only like 2 of those moves were actually like military related. He was a biomed technician, repaired equipment from Desert Storm. And so we moved I guess we moved 3 times. We moved Colorado to Utah, and then Utah to Arkansas. Like we had moved to Colorado for him to complete the training. So I guess 3 times total. And but other than that, the rest of them were literally just like, I don't know, God called us somewhere, or trying to find the next best thing, or So I was homeschooled for 10 years. Basically, I taught myself from like 2nd grade on.
Why is that?
What?
Why did you?
Well, Nowadays, when you homeschool, I think it's a very different kind of life kind of thing. There was umbrellas and like homeschool co-ops and stuff like that, but we never got involved with those because they weren't conservative enough, which is weird because most homeschoolers are like that,
Yeah.
So we were very kind of isolated from it, and if like my parents didn't deem anybody like Christian enough, we weren't involved. So going to homeschool co-ops with people who were a different denomination than we were and stuff like that, it was just not.
They wanted to keep you kind of like in the Christian bubble.
Yeah, but even not just Christian, but like our church.
Yeah.
Also like a very conservative form of our church, because there were people in our church that we weren't allowed to hang out with. So like I grew up wearing dresses until I was age 6, I think 7. We wore dresses all the time, like very strict diet, all that kind of stuff. So it was just very, very, very conservative, and homeschooling was the only option, really. Like there was no chance of like going to a school, even a Christian school or a church school. And also I remember very much like hearing about kids that had been diagnosed ADHD and were like on Ritalin, and hearing my parents, I mean mainly my mom, say things like, oh well, they just need to be disciplined. Like they're just wild, they're just wild little boys that have had too much sugar and not enough spankings and are allowed to just run free. Like that's what ADHD is. And it is created by the pharmaceutical companies to sell drugs and medicate kids, and ADHD is not a real thing. There was never even like the possibility or question that me as a girl had ADHD, because the only thought of it was ADHD as kids who are way hyperactive, off the wall, and that's what ADHD kids are. Which nowadays, when we find, when we read the research about it, the articles about it and everything, they're saying it presents so differently. And
I'm not hyperactive at all. I wish I was.
We were the dreamers, the daydreamers,
the artists that I want to draw and I want to. I remember being in school, and I'm sure you've had something similar. And Rosalie, we're gonna go to your question in a second. I remember being in first grade, and that's actually my first memory of and connecting the dots. And we're in English class, and they were reading a book, and my mind just flew. I don't know where I went. And when I came back, I didn't know which page, and I was like my little brain couldn't comprehend. Why couldn't I know where they were if I was right there? Like, where did my brain go? I don't know which page it is. And I was called out for it because she asked me something.
And so stupid.
Yes.
And you're like, oh my God.
Yes. Yes. Rosalind is asking if you think that having an unstable childhood was a reason for you to develop ADHD. I think we're born with it. What do you think?
There studies are showing that it's genetic. So, my son has severe ADHD. He's also on the spectrum, which he probably gets a bit of that from me as well, because learning more about him being autistic and on the spectrum, I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Because sometimes I feel like I might be on a,
they're actually saying now there's been some research that is showing that there's a possibility that ADHD is like a fringe of the spectrum.
Yeah, I read that.
I think that probably because it is like a chemical difference in the brain. It's not just like not paying attention enough or being hyperactive or whatever. Like it is different in the brain with executive function, all of that. So I think that probably as more research comes out, I feel like it's becoming a lot more of a studied topic than it was even like 5-10 years ago. Yeah. And I think that as more information comes out and research, that probably they will start to see that it's definitely like either concurrent with the spectrum or a version of the
branch.
You know, I mean, the spectrum is so different. Like there's
So
so many like functioning, non-functioning things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My nephew is in the Asperger's club, you know. And it took them a while to diagnose them. So knowing that is genetic, and that's what, I think. And it's funny because my sister, it's not, as I said, she's very focused. So all the time.
Here's the thing. Like I was also, when I was diagnosed ADHD, I was also diagnosed, and it was something that it blew my mind getting the diagnosis of OCD, because it was something I had dealt with literally since I hit puberty. And I had no idea it was OCD related. But so like I have some OCD, but it it does.
It doesn't have to be like organized OCD. It could be any OCD. Yeah.
No, it doesn't manifest in organization, because I can sit on my couch right now. I've got like 4 days of laundry.
Yeah. Oh my God. If I move no, I'm not moving that camera.
But so my OCD presents in oh my God, what's it called? Intrusive sounds.
Okay.
I can remember literally since like age 9 having intrusive sounds in my head, especially when I'm stressed, lack of sleep, things like that. And it was always, every time I would bring it up to a doctor, I always felt crazy bringing it up to a doctor, because I'm like, I have these sounds in my head that like won't go away. And they always said it was like aura to a migraine or something like that.
What kind of sounds?
Okay, so you know the EDM music?
I'm listening. I'm just gonna move the light ring because I see it on my head, and but keep talking because I'm here.
No, go ahead. So you know how there's like the EDM like rave music that has like a record that scratches, and it's just like if I lose sleep and I'm stressed, like I will get a sound like that in my head that's like a record scratching, and it will just get louder and louder and louder and louder till I want to like bash my head up against the wall. And like explaining that to somebody outside of my body made me feel so crazy. And the thing is that I had that for years. And after my first miscarriage, I started antidepressants, anti-anxiety, and it went away.
Oh, wow.
But I didn't realize it went away until I decided to wean off of it, because I was like, I don't need it anymore. I started to wean off of it, and it came back, and I was like, I have not had this for a year.
Wow.
Since I started the medication. And that's one of the reasons why I stay on medication now, because I can't live like that. Like I would end up listening to music all the time, because it was only like an external sound that could kind of like break me out of it. So like as a teenager, I listened to music constantly. But yeah, after when I was diagnosed ADHD, the psychiatrist was like, that is OCD. That's intrusive, unwanted sounds. And I was like, huh? But things like that make you feel like you're crazy.
Yes.
Crazy.
Or to me, it was more like insecure and stupid because of, the way I grew up. I was always the one who messed up.
Yeah.
And now my mom, the other day, she's like, I'm so sorry. I didn't get it. But also when we were growing up, I'm 42. So when I was growing up in Peru, you didn't see it. People didn't know. So she's like, I could have, but I was like, how would you, no, there wasn't, but the way, and then I thought my sister taught me how to read when I was 4.5. And then I was like, but I'm smart. I'm reading at 4.5.
Right.
Or when I was older. And then I was like, but why is my brain not connecting this?
So confusing
things.
And it's so frustrating.
Because it doesn't mean that you're stupid, that you're stupid or that you're not smart. It's just your brain is different. And you don't understand that until later on.
And it makes such a difference in like how you learn things, so like for me, test taking was horrible, which homeschooling didn't help, because like I said, I basically taught myself from 2nd grade. My parents, when we moved to Russia when I was 9, after that we came back, my parents just checked out. So like emotionally they were just gone. So I basically raised myself, taught myself. So, but at the same time, like, I mean, how can you teach yourself concepts that you don't even
Yeah.
you know? And so I'll be completely honest, I cheated all the way through because I was left to on my own to try to figure out, diagramming, English diagramming, science, all this kind of stuff. And you're sitting there and you're like, I have no clue. I can barely read. And there's the answer key,
Yeah.
And there's no help. And so I would get in trouble for that, but it would never change actually like having instruction and teaching and guidance. So when I went to my first day of school ever outside of my home, 11th grade.
When you went to?
I went to a boarding high school. So in my church, I grew up Seventh-day Adventist. In my church, there's a bunch of these schools that are boarding high schools. You send your kids away. They live there in a dorm for the whole school year, and then go to school. So I went to one. It was another very conservative school. And so that's where I went 11th grade, 12th grade. And so not only was I suddenly living away from home, 11th grade, I was 16. I was going to school for the first time in my life, like having to figure out. Yeah. I didn't even know how to like fold my homework over and like write my name on it, or just simple things like that made me feel so stupid and so behind, like writing a paper or just, I mean, I taught myself pre-algebra, like,
yeah,
that's hard. So, yeah.
What about college?
College was a challenge. I went to school. I did my.
People, if you don't know, Rachel is a nurse.
Yes.
That must have been. Was it hard?
It was never a semester unless I completely failed at least 2 tests. My test average was always just barely passing, but I was really good hands-on at clinicals. And I used to always say, show me how to do something once and I'll do it that way forever. Like, I will do it right.
Do you read instructions?
What?
Do you read instructions?
No.
Thank you.
No.
I just look at them and I'm like, okay.
You know how hard IKEA is for me.
I love IKEA though. I'm good at those.
But also I'm like, I'll figure it out.
You figure it out. I love puzzles like that.
No, I don't read instructions, but like, when I would be in clinicals and my teacher would be there with me and she would show me how to do a skill, I'd catch it. I could do it that way just right, like the rest of the time. But to actually study and have to regurgitate that for a test, I would barely pass. And literally every single test, I would be in my teacher's office, like bawling because I failed and I felt so stupid. And I spent hours and hours and hours studying for tests. I'd gone to tutoring, all this kind of stuff. And they would read the question. Looking back, it's so crazy that it didn't click. But it didn't even click for nursing.
You didn't know yet that you were ADHD.
No, I only found out 2 years ago. I didn't know at all. And nobody caught on. So like looking back, I would go to my instructor's office and we'd be going over the test. They'd read a question and I could answer it. And they'd be like, well, why didn't you choose that answer at the test? I'm like, because somebody in the back was like tapping their fingers on the desk or something. Like, I didn't even read that question as the answer. It was so hard. And so
I think that's why, because we don't read. I think that is why.
Because I read like 3
fail on the test, because if you don't read, how would you know the answer if you think you know the question but you don't?
Right, because you skip over it. You only get like the main big words. So like I read like 3 words out of a whole sentence or question, and I think I know what it is, and so I click.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was so stressful to me, and I felt like I was always failing. I managed to pass. I graduated somehow I passed boards on the first try. It's amazing to me. I thought I had failed. I really did.
Were you worried that you would be over medicating a patient or?
Yeah. Oh my God. The nightmares that I would have, even 5 years into nursing, like I felt like a fraud, honestly, because I had all these workarounds for figuring things out. Like I would leave work and I would have all these notes written on my hands. I would have all these things in my pockets that I had written notes on. And, you know, I just constantly felt lost. And like the thing is that's crazy is that I won an award for Nurse of the Year for my entire hospital system, but I felt like such a fraud.
But you shouldn't though.
But I did, because like the patients would be asking me questions, or the doctor would ask me a question about lab work or something, and I would literally be typing into Google trying to figure out the answer as I'm talking to them, because I couldn't remember things like that, or just
things that you can't remember, and you can't, or it's things that you can't put them into words. That's what happens to me.
Yeah.
Right?
That's a very valid thing. Like, and you sit there, especially if you get into an argument with somebody or whatever, and you
my God.
And you can't think. And it's so hard.
My kids are always like, Mom, we don't know what the thing is. And I'm like, the thing! And then I go crazy because I'm crazy, and I yell, and they're like, you yell at us because we don't give you the thing that's there.
But we don't know what it is.
We don't know, and this might happen to you too. My friends, like my super close friends, that are like, we're not in your head. Explain, please.
Listen.
I start talking, and I think that people know, but they don't know because obviously they're not in my head.
Right. But in your head has gone through it like 1,000,000 miles a minute, just like flying through all this stuff. And then you're onto something else already.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. Michael, my husband, is like, did I lose you already? And I'm like, yeah. You're talking too much.
Just the channel like 4 times.
And he's like, when did I lose you? I'm like the third sentence. I'm gone.
My best friend, I've known her since I was 10. We're like family. This is the first year I ever remembered her birthday. Like the morning of, and not like late in the day. Oh my God, happy birthday. I'm sorry. And it took 3 Google alerts.
Wow. I'm good with birthdays.
I barely even remember my own. I plan my kids' birthday parties like 2 days before it's supposed to happen. It's terrible. But like, I mean, college was a challenge for me, and I've often wondered what it would be like to go back to nursing. I don't want to go back to nursing to find out, but I've often wondered what it would be like to go back to nursing now that I know, and like I am medicated and everything. Not that medication is
I want to talk to you about that, because I was medicated and I'm not anymore.
Really? Okay. I don't know if I could go off of it.
But we'll talk about that in a minute. What about, we talked about self-esteem. I think I became more sure of myself in my 30s, mid-30s, when I learned stuff, and I started as a receptionist at a law firm, and then I became a case manager, and then I became manager of the case managers, and then's when I figure out I'm capable of. I can do anything I want. And now I'm like, power, and this is not gonna stop me. And then I get an episode and I mess up, and then I'm like, I'm so stupid. Why?
I know.
And I cry.
I know.
And it's, I messed up, and this is so.
But you know what? I think so much of that is related to like the rejection sensitive dysphoria that's related to ADHD, which I had no clue about up until recently. And like, it's physically painful if you feel like you've messed up or you disappointed someone or whatever. Like, people don't, everybody would always tell me, you're so sensitive. you know.
But it's not. Michael always.
I don't want to be that way.
Yeah.
I just, I don't want to be that way, but God damn, it hurts if you just look at me wrong.
Yeah. Sometimes I don't. Most times I don't care, or I'm trying to make myself not care. Yeah. But it does. Or I guess because of the insecurities that we have, we want to please and we want to be liked and we want to be, we want approval, I guess. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
And I'm being completely honest because I'm always like, I don't need that. But inside, we do.
You do.
Especially because we've grown up being told you can't, or you're this, or you're that. And it's such it's painful. And also, sometimes you just want to get some order in your head.
Yeah.
Because it feels like sometimes when I have too much, I feel like it's like a scribble. Like literally a scribble is in my head and it's going to explode. And I'm sure you feel the same way. Yeah. It's just like, it hurts because you feel like it wants to get out and you just want to contain it.
Yeah.
So you want to start trying to make lists and try to tackle one at a time. But then I never finish the list.
I can't even remember to check it. One of the things that has helped me significantly is getting an Amazon Echo. This is not a plug for Amazon. I'm not getting reported anything, but getting an Amazon Echo, because literally I can just be like, hey, remind me of this. I have it remind me every 2 hours to drink water because otherwise I won't.
Oh my God, that's awesome. Terry, who's here, she had a YouTube live today, and I apologize to Terry. And I wanted to watch it, Terry, Sandra, and Lisette, and I totally forgot. You forgot about this.
No, I forgot about our meeting tonight. So.
Yes, and I forgot about watching them, and because you get so into, okay, I'm gonna do this.
Yeah.
That it's. I wish people understand.
If I can pull it up on here. So I set up routines on my Alexa. Oh, she just turned on. So I set up routines, and it has really, really helped me, and it has helped my kids.
Okay.
So you can set them up to be like different. Okay.
I
really see it. So I have certain mornings that are school days. So if I wake up in the morning by 7:45 in the morning, I say, Alexa, it's a school day. And she's trying to start. Okay. So basically, she will say to the kids, it's time to get ready for school. She will tell my son what the weather is so that he knows what to get dressed as.
Aww.
She reports the weather, and then it waits 10 minutes, and then she says it's time to get dressed.
Okay.
Wait 20 minutes, and then she says it's time to put our shoes on. So that way we have time they get dressed, we have time to eat breakfast, and then she tells them it's time to put your shoes on and get ready to go in the car. So I have that routine. I have another one that's their bedtime, and I can say, Alexa, it's bedtime. And it starts, Alexa, turn it off. So she'll say, hey, kids, it's time to clean up. Let's pick up our toys. And then it plays Clean Up from Barney.
Aww.
And it works. It works. The kids get up. They're like, oh, it's time to clean up. And they put their stuff down and they start picking up.
Wow.
And then it waits and it says it's time to brush our teeth. And then it waits and it says it's time to read a book. And then 15 minutes later, it says now it's time to go to bed. And so like I've set up all of these routines to try to like kind of direct our lives because I can't stay on top of it otherwise. So things like that has really, really helped me kind of like
yeah, because it's someone telling you what to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Because otherwise I completely forget.
Yeah.
Like tonight.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I have it on my calendar and I forgot.
I did.
I forgot to look at my calendar.
And we talked about it last night.
forgot.
I completely understand.
Mm.
What about
I could have forgotten between 4 p.m. when you texted me and tonight as well. I could have, but I set an alarm with her. I told her to remind me at 7.
How do you deal with your kids with that besides Alexa?
It's hard.
Do you forget that you punish them, or did you say something? Not punish, but because sometimes my kids now they are 15, so and sometimes like, you need to clean your room. If not, I'll take your phones away. And then I forget to check the room. I never check the room.
No, I haven't gotten to that point yet. I forgot to pick them up from school. Like totally forgotten. I have forgotten to I can't keep up with laundry, so sometimes well, I don't know what we're gonna wear to school today because it's wet and
Done that. Michael takes care of the laundry now, so that helps a lot.
Yeah, my ex did used to fold the laundry, so at least we stayed.
Nice. Nice.
I have forgotten birthdays. I have forgotten play dates that I've scheduled for them. It's I don't know. It's like such chaos in my head, and even with medication, because the medication, it quiets a bit of that, but it doesn't actually change any of your habits. So you have to change the habits, which I'm trying.
It helps you concentrate when you're doing this stuff.
Yeah,
and it helped me and read and focus on when I was making demands, or that it helped me because I had so many mistakes when I used to make demands, because in my head it was okay, and you read it, people, and you read it okay, but then the fourth time you read it you're like, oh oh no this is not right.
I know, it's so bad.
If you read it the fourth time.
If you do, but you probably know.
Yes, that's why I read all my demands before I send them, because sometimes it was just like eating words and
it's bad. It doesn't. So the thing is with medication is it doesn't change anything. It simply helps you focus better, and for me it made my brain quieter. Which
it doesn't stop, does it?
What?
It doesn't stop.
No, never. Even now, I can be thinking about multiple things at the same time, but at least it was down from 10 trains of thought at once to 3, which is tolerable. But I think a lot of people think that if they get on medication that it's just going to magically change things, and it doesn't. It just helps you focus more. And so, but you have
to think maybe it's because depending on the degree that you have.
Maybe. I don't know. So it definitely you can still be completely scattered, unorganized, whatever. It's just,
Oh yeah, no, it doesn't make you organized.
No.
It didn't make me organized. It made me more focused. That's
right. That's pretty much it. And so and just quieted my head. So I was able to think more clearly on one train of thought.
I remember that it gave me such a bad headache the first 3 days. It was
really?
So bad. Yes.
What did you take? Do you mind me asking?
I can't remember because it was a long time ago. I was diagnosed can't remember because I was diagnosed twice. I want to say I was already married. So maybe 10 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And then again 8 years ago. And I took medication and then I stopped. And I thought it was going to be okay, but it's gotten worse. I sent a pallet to this is how bad it is, okay? I went full-time reseller this year. And my husband and I decided to do this together. And we're like, okay, we're gonna set it up. We're gonna talk, we're talking about spending money of the company's money. And because of the pallets. And we decided we were not going to buy anything more than, because we're starting $100, $150 tops without checking on each other. So I go on the, pallets website, the liquidation website, and I see this, and I was like, I'm not gonna get it. $7.50.
I just did.
Auction, $7.50. I won, and I had to pay for shipping. So I tried to cancel it, couldn't cancel it. I sent the shipping because my best friend is in Florida. She opened the account with my tax ID, and she sometimes gets pallets too. I sent the shipping to her house in Florida. I'm in Georgia. Yes. And we were going to North Carolina. So I not only bought something without telling my partner in business
and in life,
but also send it to Florida. I was able to reroute it and send it back here. I do solve the problems that I make.
Yeah. Literally, I sent a Christmas gift to a friend in California. I changed the address I thought on Amazon. Nope. Sent it to myself. Couldn't reroute it. I had to buy a second one to get it shipped there in time. It still hasn't arrived, but to get it shipped there in time before Christmas. So that's that kind of stuff.
Because we don't read.
Oh. Like I put the address in, it was supposed to say
yes. Doesn't happen. I'm sure this happens to you when you do something and then it doesn't come out the way it should, and you're like, but what else did I have to put in or add?
I don't know. It's I totally understand it though, and I think so. Here's the thing. For me, I didn't start recognizing the symptoms or thinking that it was actually an issue. I was just always like the scatterbrained person.
This is what we're told.
Yeah, or like I would get an idea, get a new obsession and like go hardcore on it and then like crash and burn like months later, Still happens. Spend a bunch of money on stuff because you're like, oh, I'm going to make jewelry and sell it or whatever. And you buy like everything.
Been there, done that too.
Oh God. Yeah. So I was always that way. And that's what everybody knew me as. But then when I quit nursing and I started working for myself as a reseller is when everything came crashing in, because I had, for college and working and all this kind of stuff, like I was surviving, I was making it. Like, yes, I was behind on emails or all this kind of stuff, but I had these workarounds, these like coping mechanisms.
You always do. Yes, you work around it.
Yeah, and I had these so that I could get through my day and I could function. And then when I quit my job and my entire life changed and suddenly I'm working from home for myself and I don't have like these expectations from work from an employer, like I didn't know what to do. And it just went to hell. Like I would go to the store with my kids and leave my back door wide open. Like for hours.
We talked about it, yes.
I mean, leave water running, and it just like overflow. Leave the stove on with, Yep. I mean, it's amazing I haven't burned down the house yet. Yep. And it was insane. And like at the time I was the one, because we were still married, I was the one like in charge of the bills. Nothing was getting paid on time. It was horrible. And like I couldn't even understand like I used to run a practice with 1,500 patients for one doctor. And like, I managed all of that. Like, what is wrong with me? So yeah, but the thing is that so many people have messaged me this year with COVID and their jobs shutting down and suddenly they're working from home, working remote, or they decided to quit and go full-time with reselling and stuff like that. And their coping mechanisms have failed them. And the workarounds that they have don't work anymore because their routine is different.
So you adapt? I adapt a lot. I'm really very adaptable.
Yeah.
Do you think that's
But at the same time, I hate change. I hate it. But the thing is that I think so many people, especially this year, are realizing this about themselves because so much in life has changed, and like your workarounds and your coping mechanisms, all that stuff is different. And it's like it's totally upended our lives. And so I think a bunch of women are realizing this about themselves, like, whoa.
Do you think that they realizing that they might have ADHD, or that they are just not coping the way they thought they would?
I think that they're finally realizing that they have ADHD. I know that a lot of people have messaged me and been like, this makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and a huge like shift has been when they started having to work from home, work remotely, things like that. Everything they had like carefully constructed to get through every day was gone, and they couldn't do it
because the structure is gone.
The structure is gone. And when you're like working for yourself and all this kind of stuff, like it's
and it takes time. It takes me time to adapt.
Yeah.
It's taken me, we started June, July, but also, you know, August we went on vacation, and September we also went on vacation to my brother's for like a week.
Mm-hmm.
So I think now, about maybe, I want to say a month ago,
Mm-hmm.
it's when I'm like more getting more structure to do, and you know, it's funny because we see it in the sales, we see it in the production, we see it in everywhere, that now after since June or July, I'm seeing, you know, the change, and like now I'm working on it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
It takes forever.
I think yeah, it does. It really takes forever just to adjust and to like recognize it about ourselves, and then to be able to implement that change. Like it takes so much time.
It does.
But,
and you're like always, well, this Monday or tomorrow I'll start doing this. No.
I bought yet again another yearly planner for myself.
I almost bought one today. I'm buying one because I like them.
I like them, and then I never finished them.
I do use them. I do use them, and they mostly help, but sometimes I do forget, or the list. You know what? When I got bored of my job after 20 years, there was a lot, you know, new people that I didn't like, and other stuff, but also stuff that I had to do, I didn't want to do it anymore. And I knew I had to do it. And my brain was like, but I don't want to do it. We're not doing it.
Yeah.
And it's like I have a child inside me that says, no,
so true.
It's not going to happen. So and as much as I force myself, it's so hard.
Yeah. No, I agree. And it still hits me sometimes, like combined with the like overwhelm and feeling like your body just shuts down from that, and also like the rejection sensitive part of it, that still hits me. I mean, I'm literally, yesterday and today is the first time that I felt like myself mentally in like 2.5 weeks, just because of something that happened with a friend like a couple weeks ago, and it literally just shut me down.
It gets you. Yeah,
it's like this deep ache in your chest, like this pain that you cannot get rid of, and it's hard. And you know, but you still have to like function and put on a face for everyone and all this kind of stuff, and you have to like be okay, but you're not.
Yeah.
And yeah, like it's devastating sometimes. And I don't think people understand that portion of
the emotional portion.
Yeah, of being an adult with ADHD, because they just think it's like being hyper, not, you know, squirrel, but it's so
much more,
so far beyond that. And really only people understand that have it.
Yeah. especially the regrets. Why didn't I read it? Why didn't it's my fault? What me messing up again?
You're so hard on yourself.
That is the worst.
So hard on yourself.
That is the worst.
And just like also I think back to college and how stupid I felt and how hard it was for me. Like, you know, watching people that I worked with literally like study the night before a test and then go in and get in 94% on it or something like that, you know. And I was like having to scratch and claw for every point that I could get just to pass. And you feel like it's almost like a grieving process of like the years that you missed. With either understanding yourself, especially I think as a woman in today's society, because there's all these like constructs that are put on women to like perform. And it's so hard to do that with ADHD and with any mental like health issue, period.
And I feel lucky that we, you know, just it could be worse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And also I see it when I'm positive, I see it as, okay, my husband took a class and he's like, this is why you're this way, because you want to transfer, you translate the bad, somehow you want to make it good. And you want to see the good and you want to hide the bad things that are happening, like this, you know, in your brain. And sometimes I remember things that happened, you know, when my parents got divorced, and I'm like, oh my God, I haven't thought about this in so long. And he's like, you want to also, it's not transfer or translate, change everything. You want to make it artsy. And I do everything. I want to make it artsy. You do? I'm thinking,
I love the creative side.
Yes, that is amazing that we have the creative side.
Oh yeah, totally.
And I see, you know, a crate, and I'm like, oh, there's so many possibilities of this. That we can do this and that. And it's like, you're never gonna touch it. And I'm like, just leave it there, because I might.
I will.
I want to. You know, eventually I want to, and I love painting and very abstracty. I haven't painted in a while, but I'm going back.
You're going to eventually.
I am going to. I still have all my brushes and acrylics and canvas and stuff, so I have to. Yeah. But it's everything. If you see something, you're like, ooh, all the possibilities that can be done with this.
Listen, when I was like, so the Christmas before I got married, it was one of the last times I went home for Christmas. I'm essentially estranged from my family. So it was one of the last times that I like went home for Christmas. It was the Christmas before I got married. I got married the next November. But I was 19 and I went back home to visit my parents. My sister was there. Her husband was there.
Are you younger or older than your sister?
I'm 6 years younger.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was really excited about going home. I had been in South America for several months before, so I was really excited about being home and everything. And my boyfriend, then husband, now ex-husband, was coming up to visit as well. And, you know, so I had this idea, one of my harebrained ideas. I had this idea that we all make quilts together. Like, let's quilt. So that was my idea, and I proposed it to everyone, and they were like, yeah, let's do that. So that was my first credit card bill that I racked up because I decided to buy like silk fabric for this quilt. And I bought tons and tons of yards of it for this quilt and put it on my credit card. It was one of my first credit card bills that never paid off. One of my crazy expenditures with ADHD. And it ended up blowing up in my face. My entire family got into, like, it was like, knockdown, drag out, screaming fight, which
Not what you were planning. Not what was going on in your head.
No, I had this idea of like us sitting around watching Christmas movies, drinking hot chocolate, and like sewing quilts that we were going to use for our homes, for our children. My sister's quilt got finished. My quilt did not. I was so angry with the whole week that I ended up putting my quilt in a box. And then I think probably 9 years later, I finally just threw it away. Unfinished. Like it had never been taken out of the box because it was such a bad memory.
You know, you posted something. Now you said 9 years later. You posted something about leaving the empty shampoo in the shower.
For months. I can leave a bottle in the shower for months.
And you clean it, you just move it?
Yeah. I have 2 hanging racks in the shower. So I'll just take it up to some days.
Yeah. I don't know why. Why is it so? It's just get in the bottle and put it. You know, when you do it, you're like, this is so easy. Why didn't I just do it? You know,
see, that's the thing. Like, but that's what I think that's what people don't understand. Because when I was talking to my friend that like has never had a panic attack before, never had any issue with like getting stuff done, they say like, oh, I have this to do, I'm gonna get it done. We're literally talking about laundry, and he's like, but it's just a task, like you just do it. And I'm like, no, that's not how this happens.
like it is a task and you just do it. We just don't do it.
No, because there's so many reasons not to. Like our brain just, we know we need to do it. Look at this, guys. I will show you because I really don't care. Okay, this is my laundry. This is my laundry. And I have like 2 other baskets in my bedroom that are my laundry baskets because
I hate laundry so much.
I just started buying baskets to put stuff in.
I could do washer and dryer. Just putting it away is what bothers me.
Yeah, exactly. It'll sit in the dryer or it'll sit on my couch.
Yeah.
You know, but like, okay, so this is a thing I learned on TikTok because ADHD TikTok is amazing. And you will find your tribe. There is thousands of women on TikTok. Just look up ADHD, hashtag ADHD and women on TikTok or ADHD problems on TikTok. It will blow your mind and you feel like, oh my God, I am not alone. But this is something that somebody suggested. Just get baskets. Put stuff in baskets. Because if you can't get it put away, at least it's in a basket. And I was like, I'm going to TJ Maxx right now. And I bought all the biggest baskets. And so those are just my baskets that I put junk in.
How is your time management?
Terrible. Don't ask that. I don't have it.
It's like I'm talking to myself right now.
What's time management? I don't know what that is. I started this morning.
I try.
What?
I try, and sometimes, I don't know if this happens to you, you try hard and you do it once, maybe 2 days in a row. By the 3rd day, it's over.
Yeah. Like this is a thing because I was reading the book Wash Your Face.
Trust me, panic attacks are the worst, and anxiety attacks are awful too. I don't think I've had a panic attack. I've had more than a couple of anxiety attacks, and it's awful. You can't breathe. I mean, you know you're breathing, but you can't. You're breathing, and you know you're breathing, but you don't feel like you're breathing, and you're feeling like air is not getting into your. It's awful.
Yeah. So, like, I think anxiety attacks like are more long term. Like feeling over time, panic attacks can come on very quickly.
Yeah.
The last panic attack I had was actually this summer. I was at the pool with my kids. And that's like my worst nightmare, to have something like that happen when I'm alone with my kids.
Yes.
It was my daughter's swimming lesson. My son didn't want to get in the pool that day. And he was sitting over there on the chair next to me. And he was like, Mama, open my Pringles. Mama, open my Pringles. Mama, open my Pringles. Oh. And it was just like, it just came on. It just hit me. And I'm sitting there on the pool chair, and he's like at me. And I was just like, I can't breathe. I can't feel anything. Like, and when it happens to me, like my hands like claw up, like they contract. And I'm sitting there trying, because my daughter's in the pool. Obviously she's with the teacher, but still you're the mother. Like you never feel like you can relax when your daughter's at the pool. And the whole reason is because I had let myself get involved with my family again. Lesson learned. But I'm sitting there in the chair and I'm like, I can't breathe. My vision is tunneling in. And I managed to call my ex-mother-in-law, and she was going to come get the kids. But it was insane because my son, he's 6, and he recognized immediately. He knew exactly, exactly what was going on with me. He went from begging me to like just at me about his Pringles and his Capri Sun. And he was like, Mama, do your hands feel buzzy? Like you hit them and you can't feel them? He knew.
Okay, we're going to talk about the hands because that has happened to me.
He knew because I was sitting there like shaking my hands and I was like, Gus, I just need a second. I just need a second. And he was like, I'm sorry, Mama. Do you feel just sadness all over you?
Oh my
God, it broke my heart that at 6, he knew what that felt like. But that is exactly what it felt like. It felt like sadness all over me and just like I couldn't breathe and my hands were numb and tingling. And honestly, he walked me through it. He was like helping me. And then like when Grandma came, he picked stuff up and carried it to the car, which is unreal for him.
Oh my God.
And then he was so concerned and he was like, Mama, I hope you're okay. And so like she took them for the day. I came home and I crawled into bed. And like, I don't think people understand how much that truly affects your body. It can take you hours or days to recover from something like that. And I don't think people fully understand that unless they've gone through it. And I think that it's a significant part of ADHD. So I know this is like a whole different topic of ADHD, of what we were.
No, we're talking about everything. Because when you say hands, when I have twins, and when since they were born until they were 2, Michael traveled every week. So I would either move to my mom's for 3-4 days a week and back. So when they were 1.5-ish, almost 2, I had a breakdown. And again, same, my brain, it's just, I called my mom, she's like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm not suicidal. I'm just overwhelmed. And then right after that, my hands, I felt and I didn't, no one told me, I didn't know. So now that you say that, my hands started to itch, like they needed to do this. And it lasted, and I would drive and I would like hit the wheel.
And you're like taking your hands and stuff?
Yes, or like it had to be like hitting something. And my friends would say, oh my God, you're crazy hands again. Oh my God, your hands are alive. Like, calm down. Like, they're like, you're freaking us out. Because, I couldn't stop. That's funny.
That's panic. Because here's the thing. So when your body goes into that, this is something I learned as a nurse, but when your body goes into that, your body goes into, so you go into fight or flight mode. Your body is like just oozing adrenaline. You go into fight or flight mode and your body is trying to protect your vital organs. So the blood flow moves out of the extremities and into protecting the heart and the lungs and everything. So your body is trying to self-protect. So that's literally self-preservation in that moment. And so like when that happens, which is so hard because you can't function. But when that happens, it's literally self-preservation. And like,
wow.
You have to like, it's like circling the wagons and you have to like focus inward and just take care of yourself. And so that's why I think it's so scary, like as a parent, to have that sort of thing come on, because you're like, I mean,
I need to take care of these kids. Yes.
Out with your kids, like
yes.
You're constantly aware of them and focusing on them. And that was the thing that was most scary for me. Like, I knew what was happening and I knew what was coming on. And I was just like, no, don't let this happen where my kids can see me. And I can't pay attention. Is my daughter okay in the water? Like,
it's good that you could, though, call your ex-mother-in-law and she can.
She's still like my mom. She's amazing.
You still have a good relationship with her.
I do. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. That's really
She's
nice.
my family. She always will be. And she's told me that. She's told me, like, no matter what, you're always still family. So, she's the best thing ever. I adore my mother-in-law.
Oh, that's so nice. That's good. I'm glad.
Yeah, because I don't have family on my side.
Yeah. What about your sister? You don't talk to her either? Is she like your mom, kind of?
Worse.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna leave it there.
Worse. Yeah, no, I haven't. She lives 10 miles away from me, and I haven't seen her in 4.5 years.
Oh, wow.
So, that's okay, though. I'm a better person.
Yeah.
Without it.
Yeah, it's as much as it hurts, you have to look out for you and your family and your kids. And
that's the thing, like, because my kids, they don't ever need to understand what it was like what it was like for me as a kid.
Yeah.
Because I've worked really hard to make their life different.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's just better to keep the distance because, like I broke down. I let my mother in April of this year, and learned my lesson really quickly. That it was not she hadn't changed, and so my kids don't understand, like, if Nana was here and then gone, like, why?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's not something that they need to deal with.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. Like, my ex and I decided we have a very amicable divorce.
Oh, that's good.
When we decided to get divorced, which honestly, I honestly believe that my ADHD and the anxiety from that played a significant role in the failure of my marriage. And that
how long were you married?
13 years.
Oh, that's a long time.
We were together for 17 years. November, Thanksgiving Day would have been our 14th wedding anniversary. We met in high school, only ever dated each other, but honestly, like, I had no clue how to communicate, and he didn't either. And that's the thing I feel like I'm okay saying, because he knows that and admits it. I know that.
Yeah.
And I think there was so much hurt over the years that it wasn't something we could salvage. But I mean, we're still friendly, and I mean, we were together for so long. Like,
yeah, and you have two babies, so
half of my life was with him, and I have two amazing children with him. So when we decided to get divorced,
let me tell you, Del, I cannot. Oh my God, she is just the best.
She is. I can't even.
Fire.
I will go to death row, to protect her if anybody tries to tame her spirit. Like, let me just.
No, ever. Yeah.
She is.
And you know what? I think also when we were growing up, our parents, because of the strict and manners and education, they try to tame, at least me.
The soul, like, a few weeks ago, I wrote a post. I don't know. I don't know if I should have posted it or not. So I started writing a memoir recently about.
I think I know what you're talking about. Loved it.
I was like, I posted it, and then I was like, oh, I don't know if I should have posted that. It was so personal.
Yes.
And that's like not even the beginning of what it was like in my childhood. And you know, it was very much a thing of you break the child's will. They have to conform. They have to like give in. And so for me, like I never really did. I always questioned things. And so I was difficult and like the troubled child for that. And I still question things because I just want to know why.
Yeah.
Is that really so hard to ask?
Do you, and this is, I'm gonna let you go in a minute, but I remember when in school, when they taught me, especially math, something, a problem or something, do you try to do it in the different ways?
Oh yeah, totally.
You know, kind of like they do now with, I can't remember. It's
The
not
Common Core?
Yes. You
Yeah.
know how they say 2 + 2 because 1 + 1 plus 2 + 2 is 4 because 1 + 1 + 1 plus, you know.
Right, yeah.
I remember doing that. I think
now
it's like
doesn't work. I don't think any ADHD brain works where it's like 6 + 7 =
13.
Because our brain works 6 + 6 = 12 + 1 = 13. That's how our brain works.
Yeah, 6. That's oh my God! I just did that today.
That's how our brain works.
Yes.
You always like round it up to the nearest 5 and then subtract or add if you need to.
Yes.
Like that's just how our brain works.
Yeah.
And like
I think that for regular kids, I think that's kind of like why going around, but I do it.
But
does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I don't understand.
I'm like, what do they want to explain? Because 2 + 2 is 4. That's it. But then I remember doing, okay, so 2 + 2 is 4, but 1 + 1 + blah, like making, you know,
you're like constantly figuring out new ways in your head and all this kind of stuff. Which is one reason I think why multiplication is like impossible for me. Because with multiplication, you have to know the numbers.
I have trouble with 9 and some numbers. I have trouble with always.
Because like I have to be able to add it to the nearest 5 or
9 times 7. I have trouble with. I don't know.
With what?
9 times 7. I have trouble with that one.
I'm not even joking. I count on my fingers. Yeah. I'm not even joking. Oh, Siri. Hey Siri. What's 9
Good evening, Rachel. How can I help?
What's 9 times 7?
It's 63.
Okay.
Oh my God. I was gonna say 50 something.
Okay.
It's 49. We can multiplicate, people.
I need to be able to add to the nearest 5 or 10 and then subtract numbers. That's literally how I do it.
You know, it's funny how the brains work, and this it's you know, as I told you, and I found my ADHD people.
There's a whole tribe of us.
Yes, it's.
I don't.
I've left my wallet in the cart. I've left groceries in the cart. I'm gone to my car, turn it on, and then thinking about or turning around and looking at my cart full of grocery bag, and be like, oh. You know, it's.
I believe it. I have left. So I have gone to the store specifically for half and half.
Yeah.
That's what I use in my coffee every day. I don't like flavored cream or anything. Yeah. I want half and half. So I've gone to the store specifically for that because I've been out. Gone home, left the half and half in the driver's seat for like 2 days till it's like about to explode in my car. Yeah. And then I get in my car and I'm like, oh, there it is.
Yeah. And then you buy again half and half because
it's such a waste. Do you know what though? It served me well in the pandemic because I had so much toilet paper up in my attic. I never
because you forget that you already have it.
I forgot that I had bought a pack of toilet paper and then I'd buy another pack and just put it up in my attic. I literally had like 6 packs of toilet paper in my attic when the pandemic started. I still haven't had to buy toilet paper.
That's awesome. See, it helps too. And because sometimes it's like, and when you're doing, I love doing like for example, tomorrow I'm gonna organize the dining room, which is full of stuff, which I've been organizing for 2 weeks, but tomorrow is the day.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been organized. I've been thinking about organizing it for 2 weeks. Haven't moved a finger yet. But tomorrow,
which is worse, like thinking about organizing it for a long time, or like deciding suddenly the day of, like, oh, I'm gonna do it.
I want to do that, just decide, but I can't. I just have to think about it for a long time. Even when I pee, Michael says, just go pee. And I'm like, I don't know why I just don't go pee. It's so easy. I'm like, I need to pee.
Yeah.
Literally
this morning, I woke up and I was like, oh, I think my son sleeps better with his sister in the room. So I'm going to completely switch up their rooms. I moved her bed over to his, put all their toys in the other room. I'm like, this is your playroom now. Went to Target, spent $200 on new shit for their rooms, because that's ADHD life.
It can happen like that. That's how I did my my closet. I just did it. But then other stuff like the dining room, it's taken me forever. Now tomorrow I'm gonna do it.
All right.
I didn't do it because I was all over the place, doing.
If I can remember, I'll text you tomorrow and ask you.
Please, can you ask your Alexa? Because my Alexa hates me. I don't know if it's the accent or what, but she hates me.
Alexa, remind me at 5 o'clock tomorrow to text Carla.
Do your dining room.
5 o'clock p.m. 5 o'clock, Alexa. Remind me at 5 o'clock p.m. tomorrow to text Carla.
Has to be done. Tomorrow at 5 p.m. There you go.
She's going to remind me tomorrow at 5 p.m.
Yes. It should be done by then, hopefully.
If it's not, I'll text you.
Please. So that's, and now I'm thinking, okay, while I'm doing this, I can start, I can also do this and and just keep it.
I think that's one of the reasons why, like, keeping up with a task like laundry is so hard. Is you go to, like, fold the laundry and then you take, like, the stack of towels to the bathroom and you're like, oh, I need to clean the toilet. And then you clean the toilet and you get halfway through that and then you're like, oh, I need to take out the trash. And you take out the trash and then you're like, I should clean the litter box. And then you start cleaning out the litter box and you're like, I need to clean out the cat's water bowl. And then you start cleaning that out and you're like, I need to do the dishes.
That's because you don't want to do laundry. Because when I don't like doing something like laundry,
mm-hmm.
That's what I do. I do everything else before doing what I don't want to do.
Well, yeah. But I mean, you, like, every single time you walk into a room or, like, start something,
There's something to
do. And then you start on that and then you go into another room as you're doing that and you see something else you need to do. And it's just like, oh my God, it's so frustrating. And
Jasmine messaged me and, she was very excited about this stuff because she thinks she has it. Okay. Yes. And do you interrupt a lot? I interrupt. Okay. I'm trying to hold
my brain is already like
Yes. When I'm going to tell something to people, especially Michael, is like, okay, tell me before you forget and go to something else. Let your mother talk so she won't forget. Jasmine, is it helping? Do you have any of this? Let us know. I hope it helps.
I'm pulling this up right here. There's actually a website, and I think this is, like, key for right now with COVID because it's harder to get, like, doctor's appointments, things like that. Mm-hmm. There's actually a website that you can do a full test, and you can connect with a psychologist.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I wish I had known about this before. Hang on just a second. It's loading.
I don't know if I want to take medication, but I do need to learn tools and maybe other, vitamins or something.
There's different medications that help. Like I've been on 2 different medications. I've been on Vyvanse and I've been on Adderall.
Okay.
I was on the short-term Adderall, and the problem is that I can never remember to take it the second dose in the day.
I only yes. That's what I don't take vitamins. I even bought the Focus at Costco. And it kind of help a little bit if I take it, but I forget. And they're so big. They're humongous.
Really?
They're like, no, it's too big. Can't.
So like I felt like the Adderall worked well. Jasmine, I went to do everything at the same time and ended up doing nothing. Exactly. I think that's like the cardinal symptom of ADHD. You're like the most focused, overwhelmed person. Like you're so overwhelmed, but you're so focused on things that you're so overwhelmed. I think that's.
This is how I don't know if you could see. This is how I work. See a pile here. There's the clues I haven't even started listing.
Yeah.
It's and my desk. I wish I can't show because it's the camera one. You know, have to go around. But my desk is a mess.
My desk is such like.
It's like how do I if I go to somebody's and I see it, well probably I would understand. But if someone normal would come, be like, how does she work here?
Yeah, no. I don't know. I don't know how I do it.
Thank you, Terry. Bye.
Bye. Literally, I had a suitcase sitting in my bedroom for the last like 7 weeks because I had gone up to Jomar for work. I came home. Like I had pulled half of the stuff out to wash, but then there was other stuff in there. And then I ended up like, I didn't have enough. I didn't want to put stuff in my drawers that I had washed. So I ended up just putting it in the suitcase.
Yeah. My suitcases are forever when we come back. Forever on my room floor.
Forever.
Yeah. And you trip on it.
You step over it, you move it around out of your space, but you just can't because to me, thinking about like, okay, if I'm going to put my suitcase away, that means I have to completely empty it out. That means I have to zip it up. That means I have to take it over to the attic door. I have to go up the attic. I'm going to have to fight the cats to go up the attic because they want to come up the attic stairs with me and I don't want them up at the attic. Then I have to figure out where to put it in the attic that it's not going to fall down the stairs. And that's just like so overwhelming. There's so many steps involved with that I just rather leave it on my floor and step over it, you know? Yeah. Okay. So Jasmine, if you are curious, there is a website you can go to, ADHDonline.com.
Okay.
Okay. So
Jasmine, write it down.
What?
I said, Jasmine, write it down.
ADHDonline.com. You can do a full certified ADHD assessment and you can talk to psychologists in your state.
Perfect.
So it's a good way to get started, especially if you're just unsure. It can be covered by insurance. Like you can input your insurance. So it's kind of like, I don't know if you guys have heard of like NURX, NURX, like the new RX for birth control and stuff like that. But basically you can input your insurance and it can like, if you have that, it can like work with that. And then also I think you can just pay cash.
Oh, that's awesome.
Max out of pocket for an ADHD assessment is $149.
That's not bad.
No, not at all. You can use HSA and FSA.
Huh.
This wasn't around 3 years ago.
Wow.
So
awesome. Thank you, Rachel, for sharing.
Yeah, it's a maximum of a one-time assessment fee of $149 if your insurance doesn't cover it or if you don't have insurance. And you can also receive like cognitive behavioral therapy, psychotherapy. You can get medication prescribed. Like it's with doctors in your state that are working with it for telemed.
That is so good.
Yeah.
I'm going to reach out.
Huge help.
Yeah.
My son has been tested, but the results never come out clear. What do you mean, Jasmine? I'm curious about that.
Tested for ADHD?
Your sister studied psychology and she says she's almost sure I have it. I mean, so the thing is, to get a diagnosis, you need to have like symptoms and you need to have it in 2 different locations. So like home and work, like work and like social or whatever. So I feel like if you have that, like you can get the diagnosis that you need.
I remember my doctor made me do, the test, and while she, poor thing, while she was reading the results, she was like, "Okay, yeah, oh, okay, well, honey, this is bad."
I know.
You too? She was like, "Yeah." Like out of, I don't know, 100 questions, like 98, I was like checking in.
So my psychiatrist, when I went to get tested, he made me get like questionnaires filled out from friends and family, because with homeschooling, I didn't have like a school history, like notes from teachers or anything like that. So he had to do kind of extra stuff. So I had to get like childhood friends who had known me for years, my husband, all this kind of stuff, to like fill out these questionnaires about me. And literally, I mean, resounding, it was like, Rachel is inattentive. Rachel doesn't remember things.
You think it's fun? Sometimes I'm just bored, and I just do those tests online for fun, and I send them to my friends, and they're like, "Yeah, we know." Well, checking all the boxes.
But he was like he graded them all, and he was like, "Well."
And sometimes I lied on some of them. So, whatever it's true, it's true.
He got the questions back from like my two best friends who have known me for years, my husband at this, and he was like, so everybody says you don't listen. I was like, yeah, I know. Everybody says that you're a terrible friend because you don't remember things.
Yeah. And then sometimes you're like, we're so focused. It's not because we don't care.
No, I think we can.
Because it doesn't occur to us. We don't think about it, right?
Like, our brains are going so fast, it's like impossible to.
I now learned to ask, how are you doing? Like, hey, how you doing? Because I would be like, oh, I'm good. Thank you.
Right.
It's all about me. I don't care about you. It's not that. It's just you don't remember to ask.
Your brain can't slow down enough, and I think that's, so my best friend she's like been there for me since I was a kid. And, we've had times where we've really like gotten frustrated at each other and felt like the other person wasn't like connecting as well. We always end up coming back to each other. But, I have had to learn to be a better friend by slowing myself down and being like, how's life going for you?
Yeah.
And I think that's a challenge that a lot of people with ADHD suffer from.
I think I'm a pretty good friend, pretty loyal, and I love my friends too.
Super loyal. I'm super loyal. Like, yeah.
I will go to war for you. Yes.
I often forget to let them know that.
And one of my best friends is a bit intense. We all tell her that, and we tell each other things. Sometimes if people don't know, we'll be like, oh my God, you guys are so rude to each other. But we tell us the truth, and we are very, how you say it, very, not bland, very straightforward with each other. And, she's like, oh, because you're so busy, you don't call. And I'm like, now I tell her, it's not about you. Mm-hmm. It's about me. I mean, I'm not calling you because I don't want to be your friend. It's not you. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's because I'm busy. I'm doing other stuff, and
it's also you like had a perceived slight from something because they looked at you wrong, or they answered a text in a way that you didn't expect, or something like that, and you have that like rejection feeling that's just like, oh, they hate me, and so then you like go into your shell.
I don't say they hate me. I say they are stupid, because they also are very. One of them is the same one. It's kind of a bully. So, and I know she does it to make fun, or just to laugh. She's not doing it because she hates me. But sometimes because we're sensitive, I just don't respond. And then they, in our group chat, they start, making fun, and I'm like, and now I've learned to go with the flow.
Mm-hmm.
It's taken me a year. One of my other friends like, just go with the flow. If they say something, just agree. And now when I agree, I'm like, yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm.
They stop and then they go to something else. So I've learned how to manage that.
Yeah.
But it's hard. It's hard.
One thing that I've recently learned, and I've started reading this book called Attached. I've recently learned about like attachment disorder.
There's a book that I bought because you recommended. I haven't read it yet.
Which one?
Oh God.
There's so many that I recommended.
I know. It's Colors, Blue. It's upstairs. I'm going to read it though. I'm going to read it. I'll post it tomorrow. I'll send you a picture of it.
Yeah. No, so I recently started like thanks to TikTok. TikTok is like my emotional counselor right now. Thanks to TikTok, I started learning about like attachment disorders, and it made oh my god, it made so much sense. Like anxious attachment, and so much of it stems from my childhood and like the insecurity with the connection with my parents, things like that. And so constantly like asking your partner, are we okay? Like, are you mad at me? Like,
oh my God. Because we need constant
reassurance.
Yes. And I think because we're so independent, we've been married for 18 years. It took me, I want to say maybe 14 years to get to a point where I'm independent and I'm not I'm still clingy, but I'm not that clingy anymore. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I let him be.
But see, I didn't know how to do that. And I had no idea up until literally like a month and a half ago that this was a thing. This was an issue. And so like
it's an issue for us more than them. And it hurts.
But at the same time, being so worried about it and like anxious about it manifests like pushing them away almost, because you're like, what's wrong? Why didn't you text me back? Are you mad at me? You're mad at me. What's wrong? What did I do? And for me, because I was so like, I had dealt with so much growing up, like when I started to feel completely like disconnected, Jasmine, I needed approval. I needed reassurance. And when I didn't get that, I just completely disconnected.
And your mind just goes like, because of this, because of that, because why it's not.
Yeah. And I got tired of asking, what's wrong? Are we okay? What's wrong? Are you mad at me? Did I do something wrong? I got really tired of asking that. So I quit asking. And then we grew apart. And then it was like so far apart that we couldn't like
reconnect.
There was so much pain. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really, really, really like the core of what brought on the end of my marriage, And I'm just being completely honest.
No, yes.
Like he didn't know how to communicate. I didn't know how to communicate. Nowadays, we communicate very well. It's beyond the point of being together anymore, but we communicate well because we have the kids and everything. Yeah. But I think that like, oh my God.
But do you think that you're ready if you have a new relationship? And I know I keep saying, because, I know it's already 9:30. I could stay and talk to you forever. But do you think that you will be ready for a next on your next relationship? Will you be better or more?
Like so I've briefly dated a few people, completely destroyed it because of that anxious attachment. Okay. People that were really good people. Mm-hmm. That I couldn't handle like not hearing back from them with texts or not being like kept in the loop or whatever. And I completely destroyed it. And I'll freely admit that.
It's a process. I'm telling you, it took me 14, maybe more to let go of that, because if not, it was going to destroy me. I
alive inside.
Yes, it's so, like I remember at first when we had just gotten married and we would have a fight and he would go to sleep and I'll be like, well, how can he sleep? Why is he sleeping?
I know, yeah. How I lay there like seething, and
I would start kicking him really hard, like waking him up, and he'll be like, what? I'd be like, you were snoring. But after I kicked him, I could sleep.
It's so, oh my God, it's so true. No, I don't know. I honestly don't know that I'm ready to have a relationship again, because I don't know that I am learning how to express my needs. I don't know that I'm there yet.
But when your needs, and I think that was the problem that we have, and I'm gonna share a bit more, maybe you won't okay, is that when you express your needs, but they don't get it.
Yeah.
Like they get it, but to them, because it's a different person, it's not a big deal. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
So I think that's when you're like,
that was like a huge source of pain for me.
Yeah, it was for me too, but I learned to live, and now with it, and little by little, it went away.
Good for you, though. That's like a really good process.
It was very hard. It was very hard, but I thought it was but if I didn't do that,
it would just kill you.
Yeah, it would have been over, because it was either that or yeah.
I think that, like, I will say, like, that is almost exactly what happened with my ex and I, and now he recognizes it. He didn't.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard.
And
listen, we made it an hour and a half and I haven't used this.
Good for you.
Right?
I think it's progress for both of us, because literally 2 years ago, I would have been bawling like 10 minutes into this.
Yeah.
Just talking about sensitive issues like this, it would have put me into tears.
Yeah. But it's good to talk about this. I think, and that's why, I made this channel. And I don't care how many views I have. I don't care. It's not here to make money, or, of course everybody wants to make money, and that would be nice. But this is more
dropping 21 cents on TikTok, okay? Because I finally got 10,000 followers, and
oh my God,
for the creator account, and I'm like 21 cents.
But it's to learn and to talk about these issues that are so important, and so people know that they are not alone. And
that's like the biggest reason why I started sharing my own experiences, because, like, I mean, this is really personal stuff. Like, it doesn't necessarily put me in a good light. Like, I'm 34, I'm divorced, I'm a single mom. Like, what I thought was going to be like my future disintegrated, and so it doesn't put me in a good light to necessarily share these things. But if one person can be like, I'm not alone, that's huge.
I told you, I sent you a message right away. I was like, oh my God.
I know.
But I have a friend that says, I don't know how you live. How have you gotten so far in life?
How are you still alive?
How are you still alive? How are you doing this?
I ask myself that on a regular basis.
Yeah, sometimes I did too. And I'm like,
you ever like drive somewhere and you realize you have no clue how you got there?
Yeah.
You're like, what road did I take? Did I even look in my review?
Wow, I'm so good driving. I'm a mess driving. I'm such a bad driver. My kid says that I'm the Matrix, because I'm like, I'm an awful driver.
I'm like the only person on the road, okay? But I'm also terrified of everybody around. So bad.
I'm really bad. Really, really.
And I get there and I'm like, what road did I take?
Yeah. Yeah, that has happened. Yes.
It's
more than once.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fascinating though.
Yeah. Because it's like the brain just takes over.
It just takes over. And when you're doing 4 things at a time, also you're like, ooh, what, I'm a badass. Right? And then you're like, but I forgot.
You can't even find it hard. And you're like, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
No, I think it's so important just for other women to know, like, you're not the only one.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not the only one who grew up feeling so stupid and unable to accomplish things. And it's not that you're stupid or that you can't focus or accomplish things. It's just that your brain works different. And that's okay. You just have to learn how to harness it, which I still haven't learned yet.
I need to learn that.
Yeah.
I'll let you know. Please let me know when you know. I'll let you know if I know first.
I'll let you know if I figure it out.
Well, thank you everybody for being here with us. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you, Rachel, for saying yes to this.
Of course.
You're the best. Thank you for sharing all your stories. Thank you so much. Stay here because we still need to take a picture. If I'm sure Rosalind remembered to do that, but just in case.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm sure Rachel won't mind a message. And she, I don't know what time, but she always responds to all the messages, at least mine. I wanna think that I'm her favorite, and that's why she's responding to mine. But the approval. But
the reassurance that you need.
And reassurance, exactly. But yes, see, she did. I want to be more like Rosalind.
I want to have the confidence that Rosalind has.
Oh my God. And she pushes me, and I'm thankful for that because I'm like, I want to do this. She's like, do it. I'm gonna text you, and I'm like, you're so intense. And she's like, you know it.
So freaking cute. Like, I'm just on there like half asleep. Most of my TikToks, I'm like laying in my bed. I don't have pants on, and I set my phone up like underneath my lamp, and I'm half drunk because I've taken Ambien and had a glass of wine. Like, you know what? That's all my TikToks are. Okay.
All her TikToks are gorgeous, and she is gorgeous, and and she's a good friend, and love you.
What's happening here?
Oh, your hair. I love the purple. I've been doing, I didn't want to do the, when they put your hair white for the coloring.
Oh, yeah. Bleach?
Yeah, the bleach. So I started doing it myself, just purpling, and it only gets purple on the white sides. I don't know if you can see.
So
I just did it. So
it's not. Even see it kind of growing in. Like, all of my hair is silver.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'm really, really sick of like having to dye my roots every, couple of weeks. So I convinced my hairstylist. She's like family. She's been my hairstylist for like a decade. I convinced her to bleach my hair and take me to silver, like icy gray silver all over. And she was like, I don't think you can do this. You're so dark. And I was like, nope, we're going to do it. 3 rounds of bleach. And my hair was like, nope. Like the second round of bleach, it was really good. And we were really impressed. And then we put the 3rd round of bleach on, and like 10 minutes into it, she looks at it and my hair is like elastic sponge. She was like, this is not good. So we had to rinse it out really fast. And so we're sitting there, and it's not light enough to put gray on. But like, I didn't wake up brown. Like, we've gone through all of that. And I was like, Nabila, don't put brown back on my hair. And she was like, well, I have purple in my cap. And that's how my purple hair happened.
Love it. I love it.
And I was like, okay, let's try purple. And so we put it on, and I actually loved it. And
love it. You have to do it again. Keep it for a while.
I think I will. I might do like a pink after this. Like, I might let it fade and do
a lighter.
Yeah, but I have to let it heal. My hair is like it's
put coconut oil in it.
I do.
Okay, look at us. Keep talking. Okay, girls.
I do coconut. I do Olaplex. I do all of it, and it's still fried because I bleached it a lot. So
yeah, I did that when I just had gotten to this country, maybe a year after. I put relaxer on my hair because I wanted. This mess. It's more wavy-ish, but it gets curly. But my the texture of my hair is not for relaxer.
See, I
So,
never used relaxer.
and my sister put it on. She's like, well, you have very thick hair, so we're going to leave it there for 10 more minutes. And it started falling out, and it was a mess. But that was a long time ago. So, well, thank you, everybody.